All right, so I am now recording. So today I have a wonderful special guest of mine, Miss Debbie. She is on the call. She will be our guest speaker for tonight. She will be sharing her story and just letting us in on her experience and all that she's, endured during this journey of hers. Ms. Debbie, for those of you who don't know, I mean, probably all you guys don't know, but she happens to be my loctician. So she takes care of these beautiful strands of hair. And I'm so thankful for her because she saves me every 6 weeks, y'all. Every 6 weeks on the clock. So without further ado, Ms. Debbie, go ahead. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and we'll get started.
Okay. Well, I've been in Florida for the last 15 years. I relocated from New York City. I do go back and forth to New York City, and because I have a residence there, I'm retired. So I crossed over to the other side, which is simply delightful. Um, and I am a certified electrician, and I come in contact with so many wonderful, inspiring, motivating young women, and it just does my heart. I just skip a beat whenever I talk to them, and of course, Bianca is one of those women, and it's been a long journey. I'm currently 67 years old. I'm a 15, yeah, yay! I'm a 15-year breast cancer survivor, and I'm a 10-year parotid gland cancer survivor. So I had two bouts. So it's been a journey. I
Mm.
have a 24-year-old daughter that is simply, she's been supportive. She's been the wind beneath my wings. I'm telling you, she's kept me lifted, and she's completing her second degree and getting ready to move on to the next course of life, which is really delightful. I'm very happy for her. And that is my story.
Yes. Wow. I didn't know that you had two
Two
different.
bouts. I did. I did.
Wow.
Yeah, I had two bouts of. I'm a two-time cancer survivor, so you can survive it, but you have to be proactive and you have to be true to thyself.
Mm.
And as women, we're always spending time and nurturing others, but we have to put on our own oxygen mask first and take care of self first. And we have to be true to our bodies. And that's what I've experienced. Yeah, two
Mm.
times. But God is good.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
15 years later. So it's a good thing.
Yes. Man, oh, that just completely set the tone for tonight. To know that we truly have a survivor who is on the call with us. So, just to get right into this conversation, how did you find out about your diagnosis?
Well, in February of 2005, I had a mammogram. Everything came out normal. I have cystic breast, so if you have cystic breast, there's always a little nodule there, a little lump. No pain, nothing. But the months after that, I started to feel lethargic. There's a lot of things going on, a high amount of mucus in my body. I didn't know what that was. So at that time, I was relocating to Florida. I just didn't feel like myself. There were so many things going on, but nothing to say, oh, well, this is breast cancer. And of course, I just had a mammogram, so everything was fine. When I got down here, when I arrived here and after I opened up my house, I got very, very sick. I went to a cardiologist. They put me in the hospital. They did all the diagnostic tests. Nothing was wrong. I went back to New York, and that's when it just hit me. I had no energy, feeling very weak, very, very, I mean, it's past lethargic. I was just like barely making it. I came back, I told my physician, he examined me, and he felt a lump in my right breast. Very small, And I told him, I said, listen, I had a mammogram, everything was fine. He says, well, let's go to a radiologist and just do another mammogram and see what's going on. I went to another a doctor down, I think it was Health First, and I did the mammogram, and that's when the radiologist told me it's cancerous. He saw it, he identified it, and he knew right away, and that's how I found out.
Wow. So in that moment, what were you feeling? What were you experiencing?
Shock, disbelief, denial, but I knew something was wrong. Shock, disbelief, but I knew that there was something was wrong because I didn't feel like myself, and that small little, I guess, it was like a piercing pain in that area of the breast. It was there, it was constant, so I kind of knew that there was something wrong. But I was still in denial at that point until I had my biopsy.
Wow. So was this the very first, so was breast cancer your first experience of having cancer?
Well, yes, in 2005. Yes, it was my very first. Of course, I knew others, but although you know others and you might have a close friend that has gone through it, the impact is not the same until you experience it yourself, unfortunately.
Um,
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's part of the learning experience that I can share with other women and let them know that look, you can survive breast cancer, but you have to be proactive. That's the key.
right.
Self-examination and being proactive.
So with that being said, when is it recommended for us to get a mammogram done?
I think that when you're in your, because women with breast cancer, they're sometimes it their diagnosis early is in their 20s. So what I think that every woman should do is self-examinations. You know your breasts. After your menses, I think maybe about 10 days after the menses, I think that you should start examining your breasts in quadrants: 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3, and see if you feel anything. And do that every single month because there's so many different types of breast cancer.
Mhm.
So early detection is definitely the key.
Hmm.
That is the I can't express that enough, that early detection saves lives.
Mm.
And sometimes as women, we're taking care of others. We're doing everything because we multitask. But I always say that we have to put on our own oxygen mask first
Right,
before we put them on for others.
right.
So I think when a woman is maybe about 22, 23, because a close friend of mine who passed, she had her first bout when she was 25 of
Wow.
breast cancer. Um, and unfortunately, she transitioned because there's so many different types of breast cancer. So I say self-examination first. Mammograms, they recommend what, at 40, maybe 35. Sometimes what we eat, very important. Some women have cystic breasts where they'll just have the little nodules there, but constantly check your breasts.
Mm.
Check under your arms to make sure the lymph nodes, there's no knots or nodules underneath the arm. That's another key indicator.
Mm.
Oh, am I going into too much detail? I'm so
No,
sorry.
no, no, no. You're good. You're good. This is what we want to hear. um, so how did you go about telling your family?
Well, I'm very open and I needed support. Of course, my daughter was too young, so children do not understand. Um, because of course, when we think about cancer, we think of death. I
Yes.
thought of death. I
Yeah.
honestly did. Um, so I told I told my family. They were very, very supportive. Very, very supportive. Um, I was blessed to have a very praying mother, and she laid hands on me right away. And at the time, my father was going through some things, so he was. He told me, "You'll make it through. Don't worry." Um, I had a wonderful support group, and that is important also to have a support group.
Mm. So, did it affect your faith at all? Like,
No,
you know,
no, because the one thing I said, why not me? I have to be a testimony.
mm,
Why not me? I never went into the why me? Why is this happening? I always said, why not me?
mm,
And
man,
I think that was my, I think that was no, I think it strengthened me because the spirit came to me to let me know that I would survive it. And
mm,
I had quite a few positive lymph nodes, but I'm here.
yes,
God
you
is
are.
good.
Yes.
Everyone knows.
So, where did you get your resiliency, your strength from?
I've always been very spiritual. I had to look inward. Um, I had to reach out to the Lord. I had to go. I had to pray. And I've always been very optimistic.
Mm,
So that's and I had so many praying people around me. I couldn't let doubt, despair
mhm,
enter into my space
mm,
because that would hamper my healing.
mhm,
So that's where it came from.
mm. How did you tell your daughter?
My daughter was young,
Okay.
so I spoke to her because she saw the changes,
Mm,
especially after I had the surgery, and of course, after you have surgery, I had a um oh my God, it's gonna come to me. I'm old, so I forget, and it'll come back to me. Lumpectomy. Thank you. I had a lumpectomy, and so I still had my breasts, but there was just a cancerous portion was taken away. I explained it to her, but of course, she accepted it. And she really didn't know the depth until I was undergoing chemotherapy because that's when there's a physical change. You lose the hair, you lose the eyebrows, you are sick
mhm,
because of the amount of medication. So that's when I think it impacted her, and she became very fearful
mm,
that her mother was going to die because most people with cancer they don't survive.
right.
It's a finite period. So, being a young child, I just had to reassure her that I'm okay. So, when I had strength after the chemo, because it's every 3 weeks. So, usually around the second week, you feel like a whole person again. Try to do things with her and, let her become the center because when you're sick, you're always the center.
Mhm,
So, with a young child, you have to, when you're up and you're able, you have to put on the mommy hat.
mhm,
And then she became the center. So, life revolved around her, not around me. But after the next week, when there was another session, I became the center again because, when you're undergoing chemotherapy, I think that's the hardest part.
mm.